is for me to kind of introduce the government property profession technical skills and the monitoring document. This will start to play a bigger role for you in years 3 and year 4. But what we want you to do is just a little bit of work before that rotation piece, so you get a good understanding of your starting point. It also will be useful for us to kind of sense check your next placements, and if we need to talk to the department about tweaking that experience to try and get you some areas that may be a little bit weaker or a bit stronger, that's absolutely fine. We can do that. So this is useful for us as well in that sense check in terms of your placements. What I'm going to do is just introduce what this is, the timeline and so on and so forth. I'm very much aware that you're all in DTA territory, so we try to be as very relaxed as we can about the timelines for you here. Obviously, if you can do it quickly, get it back to us, magnificent. But if you're in the middle of a significant essay that you're doing as part of your diploma or your MSc, or you're doing your DTA, then we understand that you may need to do that in a slightly slower fashion, and that's absolutely fine. Just keep us informed about when we're likely to receive it. So let me go through the assessment piece from our side in terms of the profession. Obviously, you've come in, you've either got a property degree, any degree or no degree, and this is basically what we're going to do to assess you on your journey. To use years 1 and 2, if you haven't got a property qualification, we obviously give you some support in getting either a diploma or an MSc. Having a qualification is a key requirement of a property qualification is a key requirement of the course and needs to be passed. You also need to get your RICS and or IWFM accreditation. That's a non-negotiable for our scheme. You will be given maximum of 2 attempts to get either your RICS or your IWFM accreditation. And then obviously in years 1 and 2, you are recording your experiences against the IWFM accreditation requirements or the APC. That's what you're doing. Year 3 and 4, it flips. The final part of the puzzle in terms of the profession requirement, ready for grade 7, is to make sure that you have the skills, the technical skills, to flourish in a grade 7 property role. Therefore, we want to be able to assess that. And how do we do that? We do that using the GPP technical skills, which I will introduce you to in a moment. What we want you to do is keep a portfolio of evidence against those technical skills, which is moderated prior to you sitting the essay. So you'll have, you'll submit your portfolios, you'll have 2 attempts to get that moderated and get it to the required standard to go forward for the end of scheme assessment. So that's what we're talking about here. That GPP technical skill document, which you'll get 2 attempts to do to get through that. And that is your gateway to grade 7 in terms of the ESA. We do not have any property element to the end of scheme assessment. That is a pure asset leadership focused interview. We will have some panel members that are property professionals in there to be an advocate for you, but there is no property technical element to the ESA. It's purely the GPP technical skill document. Okay, so that's a bit of a brief overview of the how we're going to assess you. And let's talk now a little bit about what those GPP technical skills are. The GPP technical skills are found in the Government Property Career Framework, and they are the skills, the technical knowledge and experiences needed to perform effectively within specific roles in government property. Each of all the roles in the Government Property Career Framework, they have all of these technical skills. What we do is we tell you what level of exposure or experience you need within each of these technical skills to be able to flourish within that role. There are 10 technical skills, but you only need to evidence 9 of them. That is because the first one, which is property professional expertise, we'll assume you have, because you'll have a property qualification and you'll also have your accreditation. So it's the other 9 that you need to evidence over the next couple of years, and they're the ones that you're going to be evidencing within your portfolio. And as you can see, they're not particularly property technical specific. They're not very, like if you're doing your APC or if you're doing your IWFM, you look at those competencies which are very property related. These are more generic terms, okay? So we've got customer and client service, stakeholder engagement, strategy, business planning, analytical decision making, technology and innovation, sustainable practice, commercial acumen, property program and property management, health, safety, compliance, and inclusion. So they are the 9 technical skills that you're going to be evidencing within your portfolio. When you look at the career framework, it will say for a role within government property, let's say sustainable practice, it will tell you what level of exposure you need of that particular skill. So there are 4 exposure levels. There's an awareness, which is basically a basic knowledge and understanding of it. Working, where you've maybe done some basic application under supervision. Then you've got practitioner, which is where you have a good understanding of this. You're a bit of you're the person who will be applying this independently within your role. You may get some advice from maybe technical leaders on some more difficult elements of it, but generally you're doing the work independently. And then expert, you're considered the go-to person within your organization. You've just, Olivia, absolutely, you can use your IWFM experiences, absolutely, and we'll go through that in a moment, because the key bit I wanted to get across to you today is you're already doing these. You're already evidencing a lot of these. And the point of me launching it today is to get you to do a bit of a matching exercise between your existing experiences and the GPP technical skills. So it's a bit of a copy and paste job. That's basically what we're working towards with these slides. Okay, one thing I wanted to explain about expert, and it's really important that you understand this, is that we are not expecting you to be an expert in, say, sustainable practice by the end of 4 years in a government property role, but you will have some emerging expertise, and that is what we want you to evidence within the portfolio. Okay, you will not be expected to be the go-to person within your organization, but you will be expected to have maybe done some independent work at kind of an extended level, which would be good examples of emerging expertise within particular skills. And I just wanted to quickly show you how these are relevant, these technical skills and these exposure levels, to all roles within government properties, because here's workplace management. And if you look at senior practitioner, which is grade 7, you'll see all of the 10 GPP technical skills here, together with a letter indicating the exposure level. So E is expert, P practitioner, W is working, A would be an awareness of. Okay, this is a bit of a complicated kind of patchwork quilt, but what I'm doing here is basically I've mapped all of the potential landing roles at grade 7 in the career framework to the GPP technical skills and plotted what actual exposure level of all of those that do you need to be able to be a grade, operate successfully at grade 7 within those roles. And what I wanted to highlight here is there is no set pattern of skills and exposure levels for all the various different roles. It's a bit of a patchwork quilt, okay? So it's how do we determine what technical skills you should go for and what exposure level you need? And basically, I'm handing this back over to you and giving you an element of choice, all right? Because there is no set pattern, I'm not going to tell you which skill you need to which level. All I'm basically going to say to you is this. By the end of year 4, you should be able to evidence emerging expertise in 2 of them, practitioner level in 5 of them, and working level in 2 more. Which you take to the various different levels is entirely up to you, though I do accept it will be determined by the placements that you've already had and you are likely to have in the future as well. Okay, so there is an element of you being in charge and in control of this. When you do your portfolio, your evidence, your GPP technical skill evidence, you will need to provide 1 example at each level, progressive level. So if you're declaring that you're an expert, you'll need 1 at awareness, 1 at working, 1 at practitioner, and then you'll need 2 examples at the highest one you're declaring. Okay, so if you are declaring working level, you'd need 1 at awareness, 2 at working. If you're doing practitioner, 1 at awareness, 1 at working, 2 at practitioner, and so on. Okay, so you don't just declare the level that you are declaring as your highest. You will need to show some progression during the levels as well. Okay, I'll just pause there very quickly and ask, are there any questions at all that you have at the moment? And then we'll go on to the matching the kind of exercise that you're going to be doing. Kira.
Hi, yeah. So in terms of this, so for example, it says minimum of 2 expert, 5 practitioner, 2 working. Could it be the case that, you know, let's say we went above and beyond, we could have 3 expert, 5 practitioner, 1 working, or kind of, as long as that's the minimum? Does that make sense?
It does make perfect sense. I know exactly. I would say, no, stick to the levels, because why go above and beyond what we're expecting of you? If you have those examples at a higher level, keep them in your pocket. This would be a great document to keep and add to as you progress through your career in government property. It could be a really good thing to draw upon when you come to apply for a different role within government property. So use it as a bit of a working document for yourself. But in terms of what you need to declare for us, you know, don't go above and beyond, stick to that. But obviously we'll accept that for some of that, you might even be expert in 3 or 4 of them, but just declare the ones that you're most confident in being able to display that particular level.
Yeah, so in terms of us passing the fast stream, we just need that minimum. But if we had more experience, we could then argue that for applying for jobs, basically.
Yeah, exactly. This
cool.
this is for our purpose, but ultimately, you doing this, I think, is going to give you some really ready-made, oven-baked examples to be put into an application at some point in the future. And just one final point: we have had instances where someone's declared practitioner, and the example they provided has been expert. And we've gone, wow, this would have been an excellent example of expert. You don't get downgraded for that. You don't get down marked. Well done to you that you've got a higher level example. If you wanted to include the higher level example because you're not going to go for expert, are going to put it in practitioner, that's also fine. It's more the other way where, you know, if you were declaring practitioner, but actually it's a working example, that's where we put an amber on it and say, can you increase it a little bit? So
that makes sense. Thank you.
Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, Sarah.
Hi, yeah. Please, could you just explain the titles on that matrix?
Yeah. So basically, what we've got on the vertical column is these are the 9 GPP technical skills. Okay. So there's customer and client service, stakeholder management. They're all the ones that I showed you on this slide here. Okay, so these are the 10 GPP technical skills. We're not going to ask you to evidence property professional expertise. Those are the 9. Then on the top here, what I've got is the most likely landing roles for people going through the property fast stream. So because you're doing FM, you're doing corporate real estate, commercial property construction management. These are the most likely landing roles that we have related to these routes through the scheme. And then what I've done is I've put down, according to the career framework, what exposure level of each of the GPP technical skills does the career framework say you need to have to be able to operate at a grade 7 level. So for example, for in FM, if we take the FM role, so the orange, but it's a yellowy orange, I'm colorblind, so I'm going to go amber. Let's go with that. The 3rd one or 4th one across, if you look at the FM one, if you go down, you need to be expert in customer and client service, expert in stakeholder engagement management, practitioner at strategy and business planning, working at analytical decision making, and so on. And basically what this was to do is, number one, to look impressive and confuse you all, but mainly it's to show that there is no general pattern to what technical skills and exposure levels you need for landing roles in grade 7 property. They're all over the place. It's all dependent on the role. And so what I'm saying is you can basically therefore pick and choose the skills that you want to go for, because you might have a role in mind at the end of the scheme and go, I think my career, I'd like to go that way. So I'm going to start getting some evidence within those technical skills that I think is most relevant to me. Okay. Does that make sense, Sarah?
Yeah, thank you. That's a helpful overview. Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So basically, it's up to you. Look at that confusing matrix if you want to, and go, well, actually, I think I like roles in that kind of area, and then maybe work towards getting the skills that you want. Olivia.
It was just about it's like 2 skills at expert, 5 practitioner, so on and so forth. And obviously then to hit practitioner or expert, you need 2 in those anyway. Are they 2 separate ones, if you get what I'm on about? So, it says 2 skills at expert level, but I'm claiming I'm expert in, I don't know, let's say FM. Would I need 2 separate examples, or would the 2 from the declaring expert be enough?
Right. So when we say two expert, we're talking about 2 from the list in the vertical there. So customer and client service, analytical decision making. Let's say you said the 2 I'm going to declare expert are customer and client service. Let's take that one. What you would then do is provide us with 2 examples at expert level for customer and client service, and 1 example at all the levels below it. So 1 at practitioner, 1 at working, 1 at awareness. Okay.
Okay.
You only need to provide
that. Okay.
Yeah, and then if in stakeholder management, you're also doing expert, 2 at expert level, 2 examples at expert, 1 at practitioner, 1 at working, 1 at awareness. And then with strategy and business planning, if you say, no, actually, I'm just working level, then it would be 2 at working and 1 at awareness. That would be it. You wouldn't need to do any practitioner.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But over the 9, 2 of them have got to be expert, 5 have got to be practitioner, and 2 have got to be working. So 2 skills at expert, I'm saying there. Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay. 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 So basically, I think overall you'll need to provide, I think, around 36 examples over the 9 skills or something like that. I can't remember the exact number, but it's in the portfolio and I'll show you in a moment. So the exercise you're going to be doing now, and I'll give you the timeline for that, is that we want you to have a look at your monitoring documents for either your APC or your IWFM and do a bit of a matching exercise. This is not spend a week, deliberate, redraft, consider, and do that. No, we're not after you to do that. We're basically wanting you to do a copy and paste job. All right. What is this skill? How does it match across? And I think it's this level. That's what we're wanting you to do. A couple of hours job. That's basically what we're after. And we've given you some advice to help you with that. So if you have an RICS, some examples at RICS at level 1, we think that's probably around the awareness level. If it's level 2, it's probably working to practitioner, depending on the kind of complexity involved. And then if you've got level 3 examples, that's probably practitioner to expert, again depending on how much independence you've had and how complex the example is. So that's how the exposure levels correspond to the RICS declared levels. So have a look at your competencies then and try and see if you can match them across. Same with IWFM. Awareness, that would relate to probably your qualification and courses. Operational is probably in that working area. Managerial is probably working to the practitioner, depending on the complexity and independence. And the strategic examples are probably practitioner with some elements of expert, depending on the complexity. So you can see how your IWFM and RICS kind of exposure levels relate to the exposure levels for the GPP technical skills. Okay, what I'm going to do now is show you the GPP technical skills monitoring document, and I'm really pleased to say it's in Word and not in a spreadsheet, which was a request from fast streamers a couple of years ago. So hopefully this is going to be well received. I'm just going to bring up the document and I will quickly show you through it. Just make it a little bit bigger. So this is the document. I'll send you a copy of this template. First page is relatively straightforward. You just put down your name and details about all your placements. There is then some guidance about the document and ultimately what each example should look like. For example, it should be in the star format, should be around 250 words. You can go a little bit more if you want. Yes, we want you to do that, but no, we are not asking you to redraft any of your examples during this matching exercise. Do not put them into star format. That is not a requirement for this particular purpose. Ultimately, it will, but not for the moment. It talks about how we're going to take them in on a quarterly basis and do a bit of sense check and monitoring with you. It confirms the levels, like I've just said. We want you to be able to declare 2 skills at expert, 5 at practitioner, and 2 at working level. And then it gives you some advice about how to complete the document and how to begin. This where and when to begin is probably the first piece to have a look at, because this is going to explain about the skills analysis that you're going to do as part of this document. There is then a mentor sign-off sheet. Once your mentor has said, yeah, I think you're at the agreed level, you can put that in and sign that off. We want you to do your first sign-off meeting prior to rotation, so in August. So with your current mentor, we're going to be training them up so that they know how to help you with this. And we want you to have your kind of first pass prior to rotation in August. But after that, it will be within years 3 and 4 that those meetings take place. And this is how it looks. So basically, we have included up to 4 examples for awareness, working practitioner and expert. That is not so that you've got to provide 4 examples. No, not at all. It's just so if you wanted to use this as a working document and copy and paste numerous examples across, that's absolutely fine. You do that with your mentor. You can then go through them and work out which ones are the best. So that's the reason why there are 4 lines there. Don't panic. We're not asking for 4, but use it as a working document. And then it goes on. Same again with stakeholder engagement. Don't want you to make you feel sick, but I want to go just to the very end of the document. In there, I've included the skills matching across, so what level 1 in RICS terms would have matched to, and so on. And what we've also done is put down some, for the RICS, what competencies potentially match across. So this will be related to all the various different routes through the RICS. So we've done a little bit of the spade work for you to help you do that. Same with the project management pathway. If you've got any RICS, we've done a bit of a matching. So you know if you've got data management, where does that kind of sit within the JPP technical skills? Same with BIM and so on. And then for the IWFM, same again. What your exposure levels, how they match across. And also where the IWFM competencies, our first kind of guess about where we think those match across. So again, we're doing a little bit of the spade work for you, so you don't have to go, ooh, okay, where does risk management sit? So we've given you a few examples about that. So hopefully that will help you with that matching exercise. And that's it. So I'm now just going to stop sharing and go back to my slides. Probably a good time to ask, is there any questions on that? I did see a comment come in. Olivia.
Kind of twofold. I'll ask both questions. First one is, I'm on annual leave pretty much the entirety of August, like from the 3rd until the 23rd. So is there any leeway in the getting that signed off and doing it over? Only because it overlaps with the IWFM as well. for both
Yeah.
our assignments. Okay, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. We are where we are in terms of the timeline. It's not been ideal with the fast stream managers not being here and everything. So we will work with you, and then we'll review it at the end of the August about how do we make this work better for next year. So in terms of the matching exercise, I'll give you the time frame now.
Yeah, that's
The
fine.
final monitoring, kind of your mentor, meeting about, am I signed off on any of those? We'll let you tell us what's the art of the possible. But as long as by the time you rotate, you
Yeah.
have a good sense of where you are, that's all we need. Because then you can then take it forward in years 3 and 4, okay, and start to build on it.
That's fine. And then with the 9 skills and then like the associated jobs, I suppose is the best way to put it for grade 7. Obviously we've had our posting suitability forms sent out. I've not yet filled it in because I've been a bit hectic. Is there any way we can put in those, like what type of role we're looking to going into that would kind of help like shape the GPP? So
You can certainly do that. You can certainly do that. Obviously, you're aware that the roles that I have are the roles I have, but obviously we can do that. It's a good sense check for me as well, this document, in terms of looking at the role that we were able to put you into and looking at your exposure and your interest.
Yeah.
And can we have a conversation about helping you to shape them? Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
I think that more in year 4, this is going to be like a really good way of honing into the role that you want and us trying our best to find you something, because we'll have the document in advance of that matching exercise for next year. But for this year, it'll be used as a bit of a sense check and about a steer. Okay.
Yeah. And then sorry for the final one. Again, because I'm on leave the entirety of August, do you know when we find out any of the information about where we're going next year? Because I obviously won't have access to like nothing for an entire month, and I don't want to appear back.
First week of July. Of July. So the roles are in now. They're going through QA.
Yep.
And we've got fast streamers helping us from later years help work out if the roles are exactly what we need. Yep. And then the role matching takes place in June, and you will be informed first week of July.
Thank you very much.
Here.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, do you have kind of any examples that you can show us from the older years?
I think yes to that, but not now, because now it's all about just doing a quick and dirty match across so that you get a sense of how your existing experience aligns to the GPP technical skills and gives you a view on where you think your strengths are and where the skills you maybe need to start chasing. When it comes to the quality of examples, absolutely. We're going to do moderation meetings with your mentors so that they get a good understanding of that. And we can start to share through our monthly meetings in year 3 examples from previous years and maybe even your own, where we can help, maybe peer review them and start to steer you towards them. But for the moment, you've got so much on. This is just about starting to understand what the skills are and for us to get a view of where maybe you've got a greater number of examples so that we can steer the placements a bit for you.
Yeah, and so I don't want to talk on behalf of everyone, and this might just be me, but I think for me personally, it might be helpful having that earlier just to see kind of from having a look at their examples and what they did and kind of where that aligns with what I've done, just to help with, again, comparing, like going from IDFM to this completely new thing and helping them match up a little bit. I don't know if anyone else would kind of agree with that, but yeah, just wanted to put that out there.
That's fine. Well, let's look maybe at the June, July or August monthly meeting then. Maybe we can talk about that at the next one. And if I can bring somebody in who's happy to share let's say one of the candidates who've just gone through the ESA, for example, and they can show you a completed document and you can get a sense and feel of it. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. Jason.
Am I right? You said across the 9 skills, you would expect about 36 different examples.
I'm going to, my maths might be failing me, but I'm going to let me just have a look.
Because I guess also my point on that is that, so in terms of, I guess, is that word count, because I'm already thinking if 36 times what?
Yeah.
250 is like 9,000. So like what is
it's a lot of words. Yeah, it's I can't remember exactly how many, so I'd have to do the maths, but yes, we do request that. Yeah, we
Okay.
do. But if you're doing your summary of experience, for example, for your APC,
Yeah.
your level 1, 2, and 3 examples, there'll be a lot of copy and pasting there.
Okay.
So once you've done your APC submission, you will find that there's a lot of words you've already done. And then it will be just about topping up in years 3 and 4. So it might sound like a lot, but it actually will be taking your years 1 and 2 will be contributing far more than you think to this, and the work that you've already done for your accreditation, and it'll then just be about honing it. Okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right?
I get that. Yeah, that's fine. It's just a bit, I mean, yeah, it just sounds a bit scary when it's
It
kind
just
of dissertation-esque word count, I suppose.
I understand, but remember, by year 3 and 4, all of the profession requirements is down right down. So this will be the only document that you're doing. There'll be no qualification. There'll be no APC.
Sure.
It will be the only thing that you're kind of using, and it will be how you use the document over the 2 years and how you regularly update it. If you're doing it on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, you'll probably not even notice it. Okay, and then it'll just be about refining it down.
Yeah.
Most
My other
people, I'll
question, I
just be
suppose,
honest,
is
most people have given us far too much rather than struggle to fill it. We've actually had, you know, some of the evidence is that they're going way beyond. They're giving us 500 plus, and we're going, whoa, 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 you don't need to do that, rather than giving us, you know, finding it difficult with the word count.
Yeah. I guess also in terms of, I'm thinking like 36 examples. I'm currently in a placement where I sort of have less. Well, it's kind of a bigger slices of work that can take weeks on end, so I guess is if you have an example that can sort of hit different skills. I mean, can you use the same sort of work area, I suppose, or the same sort of projects, rather than having 36 very different examples?
Yeah. You obviously got to steer them to the skill descriptors.
Yeah.
You know, you might have to tweak them to steer them towards the skill descriptors, which I think, but you can use the same example for a couple of, I would have thought. I think using it the same example for 15 different, well, probably not, but if there are different elements of the same piece of work, but it, you know, through a slightly different lens, then that isn't a problem whatsoever. Okay. And we do find that candidates have leaned on certain placements for filling this document rather than others. So the fact that you have a placement that's a bit more, you know, narrow in terms of our experience, don't worry about it, because over the duration of the 4, you will be fine.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Sarah.
Hi, yeah. So to confirm, how influential will the initial exercise be in terms of deciding on next posting? So our 3rd-year posting.
So it will have some impact. I mean, we are working with departments at the moment regarding your kind of locations and the departments that you haven't, you know, been to and things like that, to try and work on the kinds of placements at the moment. But there will be a conversation once we've seen your document, and we've seen, you know, your form come forward from the FSET, and we're doing the placement matching with the roles that we have available, about can we have a conversation with the department to start to steer it a little more. If it isn't actually, you know, if it's a great fit, perfect. If it isn't, what can we do to try and help with that particular element? So it will have an impact in terms of the conversations we have with departments around your needs. Absolutely, it will. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, okay. So the sooner we send it in, the better then, rather than at the end of the placement, because by then our next placement will already have been decided.
Yes. So I've got an expectation timeline coming up, but obviously if you get that to us earlier, then we've got that during the matching exercise, which obviously is helpful for me and probably helpful for you. But what I don't want to do is cause an unnecessary stress and burden, given that you're going through, you've got exams at the moment, or assignments, and you've got your DTA. So that was my main concern. I didn't want to pile on the pressure. at the moment. But if you feel that you can do this in relatively straightforward amount of time and you want to get it into us very quickly, not a problem. Okay.
When you said expectation shaping, so is that with the activity managers after we've decided where we're going to be?
In terms of, say that again, I didn't quite get that, Sarah.
Did you say so there'll be the matching and
Yeah.
then I think you mentioned expectation shaping or something like that?
Around the placement?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we're saying is that the departments are telling us what kind of placements they can do for year 3.
Mhm.
Okay, and they're matching these. They're actually selecting which GPP technical skills they can provide exposure to.
Okay.
We can look at your document and look at the placement that we're going to propose to put you in and see if there is a correlation, and if there was any, if we felt that either there was a massive duplication or there was it didn't quite align, then what we can do is have a conversation with the department about, can we steer that role towards additional experience that will help you with filling this document. That's what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And this, I
Yeah.
guess it raises another question of, so we would want our gaps to be filled, right? And also maybe building
Yeah.
on the experience we have. So the departments will want us to have experience rather than them having to provide it kind of from the ground up, right? It's like, let's say it's a role, for year 3, let's say it's a role that's going to be heavy on, I don't know, commercial knowledge or something, and that's a gap that we have. So it would benefit us if we're placed in a role that's commercially heavy, but it wouldn't benefit them as much because then they'd have to teach us. So like what do those conversations tend to look like?
Yeah. So they know you're on a development program.
Mm-hmm.
So they're filling in the form through that lens. So they're not saying we need somebody in this role that is going to be able to provide commercial acumen to expert level or practitioner level. It's the role, the templates filled in. We can give the candidate exposure to work in this particular area to that level, and we can support them with exposure to that level. Okay, so the form isn't about what you need, it's about what it can provide you. Okay, so when you see the role template, it's saying we can give you evidence in these particular technical skills to these exposure levels. So because it's a development role.
Yeah, thanks. Makes sense.
Does that? Okay. Yeah, the technical skills, when you leave and you go into, you become a property professional, that's where you will, when you go for a job, they'll declare what the exposure level is you need, and then you can evidence it from there. Okay, let's go through the final slides. I'll show you the timeline, and then I can answer any final questions. So I think my slides have shared again. All good? Yep. Okay. So these are the timelines. This is the timeline. So we're launching the technical skills today. What we want you to do is do a first pass of matching your accreditation experience to the technical skills document, copy and paste across. We want you to have a mentor meeting, have a meeting with your mentor, that's your APC counsellor or your IWFM mentor, just to have a first pass to sense check if they feel that you're allocating the right experiences to the right technical skill, or is there any other evidence they think that you should put forward? Maybe they can think of some examples of work that would be good that you haven't quite maybe seen. We're going to be launching this with them this afternoon so that they know exactly how to support you. So you do the matching exercise, you get it to your mentor, they have a first pass and go yes, or make these tweaks. And the deadline for you to send that into us is the 12th of June. Okay, if you can get it to us before that time, then no problem. Okay, get it to us whenever you can. In fact, if you can get the earlier you can get it, the more helpful it is for us in that kind of placement matching piece. But again, I'm very much aware that you are going through lots of different work at the moment, so I don't want to put any undue pressure on you. You can take study days to do this, and so on and so forth. Late June, we will then have a moderation meeting with your mentor to say, okay, let's get all the mentors in a room. Let's look at some examples that have been copied and pasted across. What do we all think? So that they can get a sense of what good looks like. Your final review meeting comes with your mentor in late August. So that'll be your second meeting with them to say, here is I've gone back through my APC documents or my IWFM spreadsheet. I've added a few more examples to my GPP technical skills document. Can you look at them as well and make sure that I'm copying and pasting them across? They'll go, yes, we'll make these changes. The document is then sent to us and we carry out a further moderation meeting with the mentors at the start of next year. And that is it. So a summary, next steps. So you do the skills matching exercise. It's a first pass or star format. Redrafting is just not required. Have this moderated and checked by your mentors and sent to Sian by the 12th of June. We will upskill your mentors so they know exactly how to support you. Once you've submitted them by the 12th of June, we'll hold a moderation meeting with your mentor and they will be able to provide you some further feedback. Act on it and continue to copy appropriate examples across from your APC document or your IWFM one. Before you rotate, have your final meeting with your mentor at a time that suits you. So if you're going on leave, like Olivia was, just try and find out if that is before or after your leave, whichever is easier for you. And then in year 3, this will become the focal point once you've got over the line with your APC and your IWFM, and then you start to record. So if you're doing your APC in September, then I think by the time you get to October, November, this can start to be the focal point. If you're not doing your APC until April or May next year, then obviously the primary thing for you to record is your APC and just occasionally copy and paste across. You don't need to use this as your primary document until your APC is concluded. Okay. Jason.
Sorry, I might have got confused there in terms of the mentor. I just assumed that was our, say, maybe my APC counselor or my activity manager. Is that like, who is our mentor?
Yeah, your APC counselor. Yeah.
Oh, it is. Okay. Fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. So for you, it's your APC counselor. For the IWFM, it's their IWFM mentor. We're inviting them to a small meeting so that they know the exercise you're going to be performing, and they can then help you to sense check it.
Cool. All right. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Olivia?
With the obviously stars not, sorry, I've got emails. Stars not required at this stage. All our entries for IWFM tend to already be in star. Are you just saying like summarize that into like a line or two to put in the document, or
no, copy and
just
paste
copy and
the whole
it?
thing across?
Okay, that's fine then.
Yeah.
Excellent. And then just hailing back to what Sarah was saying before about obviously the GPP skills and the form. Do you want us to wait until we've done this exercise to submit our posting suitability form, only because I know it has to do with like locations and restrictions and other stuff, or do you want us to make like informed guesses of which areas we think we need?
I'm going to empower you to make that decision, right? If you feel that you want to have some agency and try your best to fill that form in according to your current skills, then pause and wait until obviously within the deadline to do that. I don't want to cause any stress and anxiety on this though, because everybody gets a route through the scheme and everybody so far has been able to make their placements work following this analysis. So do whatever's right for you, Olivia, in terms of where you are with your exams.
Yeah, I think it's only because the deadline for it is the 15th of May, so that's like next week, and obviously priority at the moment are DTAs and assessments. Absolutely. So it's like, do we just like make an assumption? So I'll just do that then and kind of go off of what I don't have and I don't have.
If I send you the portfolio, if you look at the IWFM matching where it says these are the GPP technical skills and these are the IWFM competencies that most align,
Yeah, that
You
should
might
be.
all
Yeah.
just get a very high level from initial look and go, I think I know I'm stronger in those technical skills
Yeah.
and weaker in those. And they're the ones I really want to get involved
Yeah,
in.
that's what I think could be
So
quite useful.
useful. So it might just take you half an hour
Yeah, that's
just to
fine.
do that, and then you
Perfect.
can do the proper
Yeah, I'll
matching in
do the actual
a
work.
later
basically.
stage.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
Thank you.
But that document's there to help you.
Yeah.
Okay. But yes, it's entirely up to you. Okay.
Thank you.
I think that's it. Okay. Any final questions or comments or anything like that at all? Poppy.
Hi, a couple of points. Apologies for joining late. I had a clash in the first half. Will the recording be shared so I can catch up on what I missed?
Absolutely.
Fabulous. And
Absolutely.
then secondly, so it sounds like there are a few forms going round soon or now that need filling that might influence our next postings. Because property does have sort of specific requirements, is this GPP form, does that hold more weighting in terms of our next posting than the central fast stream postings form, or are they sort of looked at side by side, or
They
how
are
does that
looked at
work?
by side. I think the number one non-negotiable is relocation restrictions. So they always take the kind of, and also your path through the scheme. So they're
Yeah.
the first things that we look at. And then there's a layer of things, there's driving licenses, there's reasonable adjustments, there's obviously the technical skills as well, and
Yeah.
also which department you've been to in the past. So all of those things do play a part in this. So if you can do that first quick look at and go, I think I need these type of things, or this is what interests me, put it down. I can't guarantee, because as
Sure.
I've said loads of times, I haven't got 500 placements to pick from, but it does give me some does allow me to have some kind of considered thought about the role, and if we need to ask them to tweak it and so on and so forth. Yeah, just do, but don't spend weeks on this
No,
at the
sure.
expense of other things. It's more to give you a first check about where you are and where those strengths are, and if you can use that evidence to just I think I'm strong on these, I think this is where I need some extra work, we can then use that information.
Yeah, I do not envy you having to match everyone up. Thank you. That's helpful.
It's a brilliant privilege, and one we do carry it, and we do take seriously. But you all understand the parameters I've got to work in as well. So
Of course.
it's I'll do what I can, obviously.
Yeah, no, it's good to have a sort of understanding of what all these forms contribute to. Thank you.
Property is complex, unfortunately, but it's also brilliant. So we'll do what we can. Thanks, Poppy. Have I missed anything in the chat? Just make sure I've covered. When will we get the work document? So the idea will be I'll send these out today. The recording might follow on in a few. I'm not sure how long. Jay, how long does the recording take?
Likely a couple of days.
Yeah, so I'll get these out to you now, because in case you want to get started here, but I'll put a comment in there for those who have not watched the video, to watch the video before they even look at the document. So if you're having conversations with anybody who's not here today, please just tell them to wait for the video. I think that would probably be sensible. Is there any questions within the chat that I've missed or you want me to clarify?
Sorry, Jonathan, just a quick one from me. I know my mentor's on annual leave for the next couple of weeks, so will he also get a recording and information sent to his email as well? Okay, cool.
Yes.
I'll tell him to keep an eye out for that then.
And if that means that you're delayed in sending in your document, you can always send it to us with a note to say, this is pre-meeting and I might update, but you want me to see it, that's fine. Okay. So
yeah, I think it should be fine, but yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay. I won't be doing the placement matching until the first week of June. That gives you a bit of an indication about when I'm doing it. So that might, I know that DTAs are happening though at the moment, so that might not help. I don't know, but that's my timeline.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Last questions. Okay, Jay, would you kindly stop the meeting?